destroyed area with really creepy monsters, and I can show it later on, and it's the result of a magical experiment which goes wrong. And so yeah, the big thing is in the world, it's looking nice, and additionally we have these completely different regions. That's what makes the world really interesting and realistic. Of course, you can switch your clothing, whatever you want. You have to find it first, and there are hundreds of different weapons, armor parts, whatever you want. So now we can see in comparison to Chester Dark, it's now this Asian style town. You can see the guards, they have this ninja style. The clothing of the people is much more richer because New Orleans is a very rich trading town. So completely new. It's nothing in comparison to Chestnut Down. While sprinting, you have this stamina. It's the yellow thing in the edge. That's you need it for sprinting, and so after a time you have to regenerate and get the stamina back. Right now we are approaching the University of New Orleans. That's the thing I told you before, an important place in the main quest. So Gandor has started here in his youth, and now in the main quest I have to find the professor who was with him and get some questions out of him. There are no loading screens at all in the world, in the open world. Only if you are approaching bigger buildings and go inside, then there is a very short loading screen. But beside this, there are no loading times at all. And again, here you can see very nice the really individual and very good detail with very much love to detail. In the Japanese area, there's the typical paper doors inside the offices, the bird cage in the background, and here on the desk is this little smoking stick. So very much love for detail. Speaking of a big world, of course there is an important thing to the traveling. With the standard traveling, you can run, you can sprint, you can swim. Horse riding will be implemented. For those who have played the first part, horse riding has been changed a little bit because it was very complex. And right now horse riding is much more easier to steer the horse. The new thing we implemented in 2 Worlds 2 is the sailing feature. So you can learn to sail, and that's important because the world is very big. It's not a final map, it's just to show you the dimensions. So we are now on this island. That's the jungle island. Then we have a little island here. There's a little island with desert and savanna. Over here is the complete, the typical fantasy, dark fantasy Nordic style. And to explore these areas, these islands, you have to learn the sailing. Of course, you can also swim. It's just to show you the graphics again. Sailing. The funny thing is that really it's a kind of sailing simulation inside the RPG. So Miroslav Dimick, the chief executive officer of Reality Pump, he's a hobby sailor himself. So you have to look for the wind. You see it on the red flag on the top or even on the mini-map. And now you have to get by steering. You can choose the steering, and you also can change the sail. So now you have to get the boat in a good direction to the wind. And the better you get this, the faster the boat will travel. You can zoom around the camera free while sailing, so it's a very nice and it's a kind of vacation feeling in the game. Of course you can go to shore wherever you want, and that's really a nice exploration feature. Just go to the beach.
You can park your boat anywhere you want?
Yeah, anywhere you want, yeah. Just jump out. You can also jump out of the boat in the middle of the sea, but then you really have to get after the boat because you're dying if the boat is going away and you're swimming in the open sea. But you get information about that. Okay, then I show you the fighting system. fighting system, we also get a lot of feedback about fighting from 2 vs 1, and it was one of the most important critic points that fighting was much too easy and in the end too boring, because you just have to slash your butt to get ahead. So this time we implemented a much more sophisticated fighting system. So you have some basic movements, of course, and the big difference is that you have now an active block. And depending on your stance you can choose some special abilities. So now this is a very high level warrior. For example, you can do a kick, you can make some jump forward, special moves. So you can learn all these moves, and you have to use them later on in fighting.
Dual wielding is standard?
Excuse me?
Dual wielding. Weapons in
No,
both
you have to
hands.
learn this too. It's very important that you change the system or the strategy of your fighting, because the enemies are remembering. So if you're doing the same attack all the time, the damage you are doing is getting less and less. So you have to change your strategy.
And your movement, is it limited to how much gear you have on, or
No, it's a
by the
little bit.
weight you're carrying?
Yes, it's going to the inventory. The inventory is unlimited in terms of slots, so you can scroll down the thing, but you see the limitations by weight down there. It's 89 of 278
You
now.
look quite heavy, but you move so smooth.
Yeah, no, that's not. The movement is always the same.
Always the same.
Yeah. The problem is when you get over your weight you can bear, then you will slow down very much.